It's unfair for them to make me go on the air when they make me laugh first. Good morning. It is Wednesday. What day is this? It's August 15th. That's what it is. That's a very special day. You don't know why, but I'm going to tell you about it in a minute. So welcome to Java with Jerry. We're here every Wednesday morning, and we're delighted you are too. For those of you that are watching it live, those of you that are watching it on orangeslice.com, we love it that you go there. That's where you can find all the past episodes as well. And it's also where you can sign up to get this as a podcast. So if you don't feel like looking at this face every Wednesday morning, I get it. Lots of people don't, but you can listen to it as a podcast while you're walking the dog or working out in the gym or whatever. But as always, we come to you from the penthouse suite of the Platinum Triangle Stadium Towers, where we broadcast every Wednesday morning, and we're happy to have you here. Of course, we do it on Facebook if those of you are watching live, but you can also pick it up in those other sources. So what are we doing today? Today we will do what we always do, make some commentary on the news. Our feature at the end of the show is You Can't Make This Stuff Up, which is sort of a reprise of some stories that you've heard in the news as well. And then we've got our guest, a very, very special guest, a brilliant Bruin, one of my fellow alums from UCLA. Elva Rubalcava, who is the manager of corporate citizenship at the Disney Resorts, and you may wonder what corporate citizenship is. She's going to tell you all about it. She's responsible for all of the citizenship strategies that the resort gets engaged in to have a huge impact on our community, and they are having an amazing impact. You'll hear a lot about that if I can squeeze it all into this show, and so I know you'll enjoy the show and you'll enjoy her. Today, by the way, this is a perfect time to have a Disney representative on, because I noticed when I looked at my little calendar that Betty sends me. Thank you, Betty, for doing that, Betty on our staff. Today is National Relaxation Day, so all of you be really relaxed. For those of us who are working, try to relax somewhere along the day, because that's what today's about. All right, let's do the news, and then we'll bring Elva in and start talking a little bit about all the magic that they do at Disney Resorts. National news, Peter Strzok was fired. Long after this dirty cop should have been sent on his way, the FBI, that is highly compromised in this setting, finally got out of its way and got rid of him. This dirtbag is now gone. Think I have an opinion about this? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Here's the deal. I do have an opinion. As an officer of the court, I get really offended when somebody who's entrusted with law enforcement and given a lot of power abuses it, and Strzok is an example of high abuse of that. He prejudged what he was going to do in the Clinton investigation and prejudged what he was going to do with Trump long before he was president, and he has sullied the DOJ and the FBI, and I'm glad to see him gone. He, along with some others in that department, like Orr and Rosenstein and Comey and the like, and some of the people that Mueller has on his staff doing his investigation, have really been doing nothing more than feasting on what any first-year law student will tell you we call the fruit of the poisonous tree. Bad investigation, dudes. You might as well all go fly fishing, because all you're doing is wasting our time. So Strzok is gone. I'm glad to see it, and that's my commentary on that national news story. On the state front, I was commenting off camera this morning that we're having a tough time hanging on to our millennials, right? Tough for them to find places to live and to be able to stay in our economy and work here. And what is on the ballot for November but Prop 10? What does it do? It's supposed to extend rent control to more and more buildings, which will mean fewer and fewer millennials will be able to win the lottery and get an affordable apartment, and rents will go up on the remaining stock, because nobody's going to build if there are rent-controlled buildings. So the economy will be working against them again, and it's going to be an expensive proposition. Here's some stats I saw in a recent story. The AIDS Healthcare Foundation in LA has dropped $12 million into the rent control fight. That's $12 million of their $270 million cash on hand. Yes, the AIDS Foundation has $270 million cash on hand. Spend some of it, guys, and not on rent control. Spend it on healthcare. I don't know how healthcare and rent control works out together, but they are doing that. Meantime, the housing folks, the realtors and apartment owners, have dropped in $22 million of their own money. So already we're at tens of millions of dollars. It's only August, and November is in the looming future. And so what's already a horribly expensive situation for housing is going to get worse, no doubt. Look, can't underestimate the fact that it's tough to find a place to live, and that something needs to be done about the cost of housing, but you don't do that with price controls. So I get it. I get what the fight's about. I wish the AIDS folks would focus on AIDS health, because that's what they're supposed to be doing as a mission. Something political is going on when healthcare agencies are dropping money into housing issues. So pay attention to that news story and follow the money. All right, local news. This is one that's even more offensive to me. It's the settlement reached between Southern California Gas and LA County, which I think is just outrageous in a number that frankly shocks the conscience. LA County and SoCal Gas Company have struck a settlement where the gas company is going to be forced to pay an outrageous $119.5 million. What are they doing with it? Well, $25 million is going to study the impacts of a gas leak that occurred at the top of a hill above the community, and because gas is lighter than air, dissipated up into the air and left the community probably within a half hour of it being dissipated into the air. So what's the point of all this? Who knows? Politicians were preening, they were pandering to people that wanted to make a political cause out of this. The $25 million will be for healthcare. The remainder will monitor future release of lighter than air gas from the top of a hill so that in the future when it dissipates we'll be able to know, I guess. And what's the cost of the utility going to bring us in the end? That would be nada, nothing, bupkis. It's just another government stupidity that is meant to assuage nincompoops who want to have a box to stand on and scream from the top of it. So I'm sorry for you, gas company. I'm even sorrier for you, gas company ratepayers, because you're going to waste $120 million for nothing. All right, sports story, and then we will wrap up the news. It's August, so what does that mean? Well, I'm flying to Wisconsin Thursday to go see family leaving for a week. When I come back, it'll be time for the next episode of this show. But in the meantime, while I'm in the air, my Green Bay Packers will be taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers and handing the Steelers their first defeat in Lambeau Field. Go Pack. And more importantly, you know what this weekend is? This weekend is 2 weekends away from the most important thing to happen locally in sports in a long time. That's right, 2 weeks from now, I'll be in the shadow of the Arroyo Secos at the Rose Bowl watching the Cincinnati Bearcats get beat by my beloved Bruins. So there's your sports news. That's all your news. And now let me bring in my fellow Bruin, Elva Rubalcava. I'm going to introduce her as she comes on set. Welcome, Elva. Come and get comfy.
Thank you, Jerry. Nice to see you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to do an 8 clap for you later, so you all stay tuned for that, especially my Trojan friends. Elva is the manager of corporate citizenship at Disneyland Resort. I got too much on her bio to tell you, so I'm just going to skim through some of it. And as I said before, is responsible for the strategies to have a great impact on the community that they could do. She sets the standard for corporate and social responsibility, and we're going to talk about a bunch of her programs, so I'm not going to talk about them from her bio, but she also is a liaison to the external community for nonprofits all around the county, and you'll hear about that, in fact, all around Southern California. As a public affairs senior manager as well, she provides leadership and coaching her team members to assist with their professional development, which is critical, and she leads on issues of management and crisis management, cross-functioning teams for Disney, as well as working in diversity, and she's a member of the Women's Inclusion Network, which I want to ask you about because I'm big on women's inclusion. And of course, as a personal note, I've already told you that she's a Bruin. She graduated from UCLA with a degree in political science, best school, best major, what can I say, bright woman. And she has a certificate from Boston College in corporate citizenship that if I had time I would ask you more about, because Boston College is a long way from UCLA, and the Latina Negotiation Initiative at the USC Marshall School of Business. So she's even gone to the University of Second Choice and done some work there. Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here.
Glad to be
here. I have a ton of cards filled with 3,000 questions, and I got 22 minutes to go through this. So I'm going to talk fast. Hopefully they listen quickly. Tell me a little bit about your role at Disney and what you do there.
Yes, so I am very fortunate to be on our external affairs team, and my team focuses on corporate citizenship at the Disneyland Resort. So we are responsible for our community initiatives in the community, and what we try to do, our mission is to bring the legacy of parks and resorts into our community, the magic of the resort into the community through donations, through in-kind contributions, collaborations with nonprofit organizations, and cast member volunteerism.
Yeah, and I think all of us, we focus a lot on a lot of the other parts of Disneyland, right? Everybody's aware that Star Wars is coming and it's going to have a huge financial impact. Speaking of financial impact, I don't want to leave this interview without having at least some hint of what the impact is financially on Southern California to have Disneyland Resort here in Anaheim. I think all of you know that they spend a ton of money in the community community, and we're going to talk to Elva about all the places they do that. But they also have a great ripple effect on the economy here. The Orange County Board of Supervisors manages a budget for the entire county of 3.2 million people of about $6 billion. I give you that as a reference point. And by the way, Orange County, as 3.2 million people, is larger than 22 states of the union. So it's a huge economy. Disneyland by itself has an economic impact in Southern California of $5.7 billion. Almost the same as the entire county, just from one company, clearly our largest employer. And last year, they did about 81 million in impact in the community. Now they're going to do 89 million this time, a 10% increase. So it's a huge number, but it also touches lives. And I want to talk a little bit about the lives you touch. So from its very first days, I know that you guys have been involved with CHOC. Walt Disney himself served on CHOC's founding board. Talk about what you do with CHOC and what's coming up with them.
Yes, so in honor of that, we are still very supportive of CHOC Children's Hospital in our community. They share our vision of providing comfort and happiness to those in need, and that is one of our enterprise social responsibility pillars, hospitals and wishes. And so we provide them with character visits as well as care packages, and we are the presenting sponsor of CHOC Walk in the Park, presented by the Disneyland Resort, which is coming up on August 26th of this year, and we will have over 14,000 walkers in our parks enjoying that fundraising walk. It is their largest fundraiser. Last year they raised over $2.4 million for CHOC Children's, and so we're super excited. This year's theme is The Incredibles, and we are doing incredible things for incredible kids, so we're hoping that people come out and join us.
And they go there early in the morning, right? I mean, this walk takes place at dark 30.
6:15, yes,
6:15
is when we have our opening ceremony.
Whoa.
So yeah, we're super excited.
But don't miss that opportunity. It's August 26th.
August 26th, go to chalkwalk.org, and you can sign up to help fundraise for CHOC Children's.
Chalkwalk.org. Make sure you sign up. It gives you a chance to walk in the park with 14,000 of your closest friends and raise millions of dollars for kids.
Absolutely.
But you're engaged also at the hospital itself. You said you bring characters to the hospital. How often do you go make visits?
Once a month. We had one yesterday, and so we bring Plush from the resort as well as our characters, and our ambassador goes and visits.
That's great. That's not the only thing you do for kids, though. Talk a little bit about what you do with grammar school and high school kids, because there's two different programs. I know Doers in the high school, but do more about that.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Dreamers and Doers, which is a Disneyland Resort program that we have where we recognize Orange County high school students who've made a difference in their school or community. We've recognized 250 Orange County high school students to date, and it has been a pay it forward program where we have donated $125,000 to Orange County high schools and nonprofit organizations on behalf of these so deserving students. This year we are focusing on Anaheim students. Anaheim has been our home for more than 63 years, and so we are really taking a look at Anaheim and how we can continue to make an impact there. And so this year's program of Disneyland Resort Dreamers and Doers will focus on Anaheim high school students, and we are adding a scholarship component, so we're really excited about this fall's program.
Oh, that's really cool. And that's not the only thing you do for Anaheim, though, not just in the schools. You also do stuff in the community for Anaheim residents. I know you do movies in the park and that kind of thing. Talk a little bit about what you're doing in the parks. But don't talk about Kaboom yet, because I want to ask you separately about that.
Okay, great. So this is the third year that we've had movies in the park. We had 7 Pixar-themed movies that we showed this summer.
Of course, they're going to be Disney movies, right? I mean, what
so we provided those for Anaheim residents. We had over 4,000 residents attend our movie nights this year. We provided free popcorn, beverages, and fun trivia and giveaways with our ambassadors. And we also had our casting team that came to 2 of those movie nights and provided information on employment opportunities for any residents interested.
That's really cool. And a lot of people start their careers at Disney, so it's fun for them to have a chance to enjoy something in the community and also apply for a job. So talk about what your cast members do throughout the community. I know beyond what you do in the schools and beyond helping with the hospitals and in the community, you as cast members volunteer thousands of hours all over the place. Yeah,
absolutely. So this past year, our cast members donated more than $378,000 to our community through service and donations. And this is actually the 35th anniversary of our Disney Volunteers, which started at the Disneyland Resort. So we're really excited to celebrate them this year.
And it's not spelled volunteers as you would spell it. It's tears, right? So
Yes.
we had to do that together.
Absolutely.
But that's a big program of engagement that goes beyond what the corporate people do. That's your line cast members who are really, helping make the magic every day in the park, making the magic in people's lives too.
Absolutely. We have a program called Ears to You, where based on your volunteer hours, you can nominate a
Do you have a
nonprofit.
department that comes up with these names? I mean,
We do.
volunteers at Ears to You. I want to work in that department, the creative people.
Yeah, so through Ears to You, based on your the number of volunteer hours that you serve, you can nominate a nonprofit of your choice for a grant from the Disneyland Resort. And we also have a Disney Volunteer Community Fund, where based on if you give $1 a week out of your paycheck to the Volunteer Community Fund, you can also nominate a nonprofit of your choice to apply for a grant up to $5,000 each year.
That's great.
So it really gives our cast members the opportunity to donate, up to $5,000 where they might not be able to do that on their own, and allows them to continue to give back to the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have a video that Elva shared with me yesterday that I was trying to load on Facebook page, but we had some kind of technical difficulties, but we're going to get it up there, that talks about money thrown in wishing wells in the park and in your water features. And so I want to talk a little bit about that, because it's interesting to me what you do with all the coins that people toss.
Yeah, so at the Disneyland Resort, we fulfill more than 750 wishes per year for children between the ages of 2.5 and 18 years old, in partnership with wish granting organizations like Make-A-Wish. And so the coins that are tossed into our wishing wells and waterways help to fund those wishes and the hotel stays for kids that come from Make-A-Wish. And so it's just a wonderful program, and we're super happy to be able to touch lives in that way.
So where everybody else would tell you don't throw coins into their waterways, if you're at Disney, go ahead, throw them in there, because you're helping kids with their wishes, and they like it that you do it. And I will get that loop up. We'll have it up on our Facebook page so that you can see it, because it's an interesting video that tells you a little bit about what they do with that and solving those wishes. But you've done wishes for like hundreds of thousands of kids.
Yeah, a few years back, we had our 100,000th Disney-sponsored wish at Disneyland, in fact. And it's just a wonderful program. We have kids that they write letters to Jeannie, who grants their wish. And so just to hear those wonderful stories and the impact that we have with that 100,000th child who received that wish. They, in particular, this young man was having trouble swallowing due to medical issues that he was having. And when he came to have that wish fulfilled, he wanted to meet Mater. He had a churro at our park, and it really inspired him to continue with the therapy that he was going through to be able to swallow. And great. He was able to come off of the feeding tube. So it's just those wonderful stories that we hear that really touch us, that remind us why we're there and why we do what we do.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful.
Well, you also told me a story, and I want you to share it when we can, about a young woman who was driving sort of at the end of a rope and saw something that you're engaged in at Disney.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, we're really focusing on Anaheim, and one of the programs that we have is ACT Anaheim, and Hope Builders is one of the nonprofits who has come to the city of Anaheim as a result of ACT Anaheim. And so this young woman was a client of Hope Builders, and she came to be one because she was really feeling down on herself, had been to 20 job interviews and was unsuccessful, and had really lost all hope. So one night she was driving home, and she found herself at a traffic light at the corner of Harbor and Lincoln in Anaheim. And she said she just prayed and said, I really need some help. And she looked up and she saw hope, the word hope, and she focused more clearly and realized it said Hope Builders. And she was familiar with that nonprofit organization, which provides life skills and professional work skills for the most disadvantaged youth in our community. And so she had applied before, but wasn't quite ready. And she walked in there, she applied, she was accepted into their medical and billing program. And today she is ever so grateful. She has a well-paying job, and it's changed not only her life, but that of her family. So
yeah, it's great. It does. These kinds of stories impact more than just the person involved, and it goes to show you don't give up hope when you need it the most. Sometimes it's around. Thanks to people like Disney, those programs exist. Let me jump back to kids and talk about stuff you do out of the park. not making wishes come true, or helping with cast members being able to volunteer hours all over. But you do stuff in playgrounds that people don't know about. There are 10 playgrounds in Anaheim that are much better because of your partnership with somebody called Kaboom. So tell us about the Kaboom Parks.
So Kaboom Parks are, a wonderful opportunity that the Disneyland Resort has to engage our volunteers in building parks in our community. They go out and they work with the YMCA. We've worked with the Girl Scouts. We work with Kaboom, all of our partners in the city as well. And we go out and the kids get to participate in a fun design day and tell us what they'd like to have their playground look like. And then we really have one prep day, and we come back with our volunteers and volunteers from all those nonprofit organizations and build that playground in one day.
In a day.
In a day. We have time-lapse video that you can find on our website at publicaffairs.disneyland.com if you'd like to see one of those playgrounds.
You got to say that slower so they get that. It's
yep.
publicaffairs.disneyland.com.
Yes. And we are about to build our 11th and 12th playground builds at Barton and Juliana Parks in Anaheim, providing even more kids with a place to play. So.
Yeah, it's a great thing to have a playground in your neighborhood, and nice that you do this for them. So I didn't know you did them in one day, though. I'm going to go watch one of those videos. That might be fun to watch.
It's great fun.
Is it all done with volunteers? I mean, you bring in the professional contractors and they help the volunteers get it up?
It's all done with volunteers, ears, and then also volunteers from the YMCA, the Girl Scouts, and then we've got city folks that come out and help as well.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about workforce development, the things that you do for adults beyond kids, because you do a number of things supporting a bunch of programs. I was reading all about some of what you were engaged in, and it's just extraordinarily extensive. College scholarships for some of the local community colleges, and also workforce career development through the development program. So talk a little bit about those.
Yeah, so workforce development, we began a program called the Workforce Development Program for Anaheim residents, and we provide that through a speakers bureau where we have cast members go out and speak to nonprofit organizations of youth and talk about their career journeys and give them information on how they got to be where they are. We also have professional workshops that we provide with mock interviews, resume training, just development in different areas for them building their own careers. And then we also have scholarship opportunities that we provide and we direct them to, because we provide scholarship opportunities to various nonprofit organizations and diverse organizations in our community. We work with various youth chambers and diverse chambers like the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce of Orange County, the Black Chamber of Commerce, the National Hispanic Business Women's Association, the Hispanic Chamber, all of those organizations. Last year we gave over $82,000 in scholarship funding.
That's terrific.
So we direct our Anaheim workforce development participants to apply for those scholarships as well. You also mentioned scholarships in general. Last year we became one of the founding sponsors of the North Orange County Community College, the Promise. Yeah. And that provides opportunities for students who might not be able to go to college with access to college, as well as funding and some guaranteed placement if they go to either Cypress College or Fullerton Community College, and that is specifically for Anaheim students. So we're really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, last year my notes say $82,000 in funding just to Anaheim students going to those two colleges, and then an additional $50,000 on that North Orange County Promise. So quite a bit of money you're dropping into that, and in terms of the variety of diverse groups that you touch. You mentioned some of them, but the American Indian Chamber of Commerce, the 100 Black Men of Orange County, Passport to Future program, the Hispanic and Education Endowment. You just put money everywhere. And you also have a huge scholarship program for cast members. So if they want to go back and go to school and retool and move up in the organization, you guys cover a chunk of their educational expense.
We do that, and we just announced Aspire, which is for our hourly cast members to have the opportunity to have full tuition reimbursement. So we're really excited to see what happens with that. That'll launch this fall.
So think about it in this way. They touch kids at almost every age. They start at 2.5 to 18 on fulfilling wishes. They, of course, provide entertainment and opportunity for them to be cast members as well. And then they're building playgrounds in their communities and helping them get educational scholarships, and then if they do come and become an employee and a cast member, they continue to provide that scholarship and help them. So it's a really big job you have at the park, and a great one.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
You're also doing something that I know is touching every community. How am I doing on time? Do I have time to take a jump into something else? Okay, I will go quickly.
Okay.
I'm being told no. You're also doing something that's touching almost every community in Orange County, and that's a problem of homelessness. And you are engaged in that in a big way at Disney, giving millions of dollars to Illumination Foundation and others. Talk a little bit about what you're doing in that regard.
Yeah, we work closely with the Illumination Foundation through cash and in-kind donations. And over the last 5 years, the Disneyland Resort has donated over $7.5 million to nonprofit organizations that serve the homeless in our community.
That's a lot.
I think I also mentioned we have board service. Our executives serve on boards in our community, and right now one of our senior leaders serves on the committee United to End Homelessness for United Way.
Oh yeah, they're really big on this new push to get supportive housing in Orange County.
Absolutely. So we are learning along with everybody else, and continuing to provide information, to provide resources, and board service where we can.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Elva, I'm being shooed off the air, so I have to have you come back and talk some more about these programs. Remind everybody, though, where can they go and get more information, first about the Chalk Run, because I know that's coming up in August, but in general about what you do in your department.
Yeah, absolutely. You can visit our Facebook and Instagram pages, which are Disneyland Cast and Community, and you can also, for more information on our corporate citizenship efforts and to apply for some of these donations, you can go to publicaffairs.disneyland.com and also visit chalkwalk.org for more information on Chalk Walk.
And we'll put all of those links up on this episode so that you can find them in case you didn't get a chance to write them down now, so that you can go and look at them. And I promise to get that loop up for you that talks about the wishes that come out of the money tossed into wishing wells and waterways in the park. So we'll have all that linked up too. Thanks for coming and being a guest.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to have you back and talk about this some more. Now it's time for me to squeeze in our feature. This week it's You Can't Make This Stuff Up. And as I was writing the Strzok story for my news commentary, I came across a couple of others that I just had to touch on. So former Lieutenant Governor Abel Maldonado is under investigation for allegedly growing, get this, 30 acres of marijuana, which he claims, by the way, is not marijuana, it's hemp, and he says, so therefore it's okay, but whatever he's growing, he kept it a secret by not registering his crop, and I guess if you're growing hemp and or marijuana, you have to register your crop. In an unrelated story that's really astonishing, LA Sheriff deputies are being investigated for having a secret society among some of the deputies, a sort of a gang, if you will. They were noted for wearing tattoos of a skull wearing a cowboy hat. I know. The deputies claim that the society is dedicated to the even-handed administration of the law. Others say it's a secret group that abuses its power when it does arrests and handles inmates. So we have no clue. All I will say is a skull with cowboy hats on, cops' tattoos, marijuana-growing politicians, dirty FBI agents. We're really living in a bizarre world, folks. You can't make this stuff up. So follow those news stories and see where they develop. I want to thank you for tuning in as always. Remember that you can get your very own Java with Jerry mug if you send in a Dumb Criminal of the Week story. We haven't done one in a couple of weeks, so send them in and we will get one on air. I want to thank Elva for being here. You get to go home with your very own mug. Not that you don't have a lot of Disney tchotchkes, but now you have a Java tchotchke. And we will have our guest next week be Luigi Rossetti, who most of you know as Lou Penrose. Lou is a public relations professional, a broadcast journalist who won awards for his broadcasting skills. We'll talk to him about that. And a former staffer to not one, not two, but 3 Congress people. So he'll have lots of stories. Hopefully he can tell some of them. Remember, you can always find us on orangeslice.com. Have a great week. Make good decisions. Visit those Disney sites that we see in our links, and we'll see you next week on Java with Jerry. Go Bruins. We got the 8 clap. What's wrong with us?